raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
We have been given a gift by God today to usher in a new dynasty.
Now you get RFK Jr.
Don't you want a president who's going to make America healthy again?
You get Tulsi Gabbard.
Putting our country in a continual state of war.
You get Elon Musk and you get J.D. Vance.
A hell of a way to start the next 4 years.
The right-wing Avengers.
We have an army of digital soldiers.
Department of Defense under Donald Trump will achieve peace through strength.
Shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one.
The rescission of 78 Biden-era executive actions, executive orders, presidential memoranda, and others.
The golden age of America has most definitely begun.
Begin preparing the 30,000-person migrant facility at Guantanamo Bay.
They're getting the dirtbags off these streets.
There's one guy who can fix this shit, and it's Donald Trump.
What's storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
Thunder rolls, the fire's in the sky. We've been waiting for this moment all our lives. The darkness gathers, the evil takes its form, but side by side we ride into the storm. They thought they could blind us. Together we ride into the
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. My name is Josh, and welcome to the Red Pill Project's Daily Dose, live with you Monday through Friday. I hope everybody is doing well out there and having a fantastic end of their week with Thursday here, Friday tomorrow. And what an interesting day. Yeah, good day. April 2nd. Remember, on the boards, April showers. April showers, you always get some really good thunderstorms and lightning storms over the course of the next few months when spring has arrived. And today, Alpha and I were talking about this Sunday night with a Trump post that he put out. And I said a clean house, and I mentioned Pam Bondi. And today, Pam Bondi was fired. Or was she? We're going to talk about it. We're going to discuss that a little bit and figure out what's really going on and well, maybe try to figure out what's going on and analyze this from various different perspectives. The Pam Bondi, the rumors right now that troops are going to be on the ground in Iran, why I disagree with that, but I'm not President Trump. But why that might not be necessary and what's going on. There's some things that Trump said today that actually align with why he would want to do that. And I wish I had the other clip. I couldn't find it after I saw it earlier. But we got a lot going on in the world, and the storm has absolutely arrived. I love this because we are in the final stage. That will make a lot more sense here in a little while when I go through a breakdown of a post I wrote earlier, which I was working on, and then the Pam Bondi stuff came, and I'm going to go, oh my God, this is it. So let's jump into it here in just a few minutes. But first, Thursday nights is usually the OG show. This is Overwatch and The Guardian. So Alpha has an event for his son tonight, and he deeply wanted to attend it. It's the last time that his son's going to be doing this event. So he asked for the night off. I said, sure, no problem. But I said, let's do the show tomorrow. He agreed. Let's do the show tomorrow. So tomorrow on this channel, instead of Conversation on the Fringe, it's going to be the OG show, Overwatch and The Guardian. But here's the kicker. For any of our premium subscribers out there that go into our live Q&A, which is tomorrow night. So tomorrow night after the OG show, we will have our live Q&A for our premium subscribers. Okay? Now, here's the big kicker. Have you ever wanted to ask Alpha a question? You get to do it tomorrow. So for tomorrow, for all of our Zoomers that will be on our live Q&A, and you can find this by going to redpills.tv and just going to the premium tab at the top, and you can find just where social Red Pill $5.99, YouTube $5.99, locals $5.99, Substack and X subscriptions. Any of those channels will suffice to get you into the live Q&A, but it'll be myself and Alpha in there after the OG show. So I hope that you guys, hope to see you guys there tomorrow night. It'll be a really cool Q&A with an added guest, Alpha, and myself after the OG show. So OG show tomorrow night, not tonight, which is, it's okay. I kind of was looking forward to doing it tonight. But I think what we're going to do tomorrow night as well is we're going to break down a lot more of what is happening and what's going on. So it'll be a pretty good show. All right. Today, Carolyn Levitt at Turning Point. Interesting reminder here. Maybe we should heed her words.
A piece of advice: do not believe everything you read. If you showed up willingly to this event tonight, you probably already don't, which is why you're a supporter of Turning Point and all the great work that Charlie did and Erica continues to do, because you want truth in our media landscape today, and we need more of it.
don't believe everything you're hearing. Don't believe everything you read in the news and media. Now, I agree with this massively. But earlier today, I got a text message from a friend of mine over in Washington, D.C. And they said something to me, and I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to go put that one out. He said, yep, go put it out. And I said, getting information that AG Bondi will be reassigned to some newly created non-cabinet positions, similar to what Trump did with Kristi Noem. In other words, fired but limited exposure. Rumor circulating that Lee Zeldin will be her replacement. Todd Blanche is also being considered. I say bring back Matt Gaetz. Okay. So what we're finding is that, and by the way, 9 hours ago, Tulsi is doing an amazing job. Pam Bondi is a piece of garbage. Lots of rumors circulating today, all from unknown sources. And after I posted that, then I kind of got this. So Pam Bondi absolutely fired today. Yay. I'm happy about that. Is she a patriot? Is she a loyal patriot? Listen to what Donald Trump says. He says, Pam Bondi is a great American patriot and loyal friend who faithfully served as my attorney general over the past year. Pam did a tremendous job overseeing a massive crackdown in crime across the country, with murders plummeting to their lowest level since 1900. We love Pam, and she will be transitioning to a much needed and important new job in the private sector to be announced at a date in the near future. And our deputy attorney general, what is he? I'm sorry, I can't read from that far away. To be announced at a later date in the future, and our deputy attorney general and a very talented and respected legal mind, Todd Blanche, will step into service as acting attorney general. Thank you for your attention in this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Now, Todd Blanche, I think that Todd Blanche is actually going to be one of the next to go. That's my thoughts. He's going to come as interim. I think that Trump is going to make a pretty fast and quick appointment to attorney general. Who will that be? I got my thoughts. I think that Lee Zeldin is actually a really good pick. Now, what did Pam Bondi have to say on her X? Over the next month, I will be working tirelessly to transition the office of Attorney General to the amazing Todd Blanche before moving to an important private sector role I am thrilled about, and where I'll continue fighting for President Trump and this administration. Leading President Trump's historic and highly successful efforts to make America safer and more secure has been an honor of a lifetime and easily the most consequential first year of the Department of Justice in American history. Since February 2025, we have secured the lowest murder rate in 125 years, secured first ever terrorism convictions against members of Antifa, shattered domestic and transnational gangs across the country, taking custody of more than 90 key cartel figures, and won 24 favorable rulings at the Supreme Court. I will remain eternally grateful that the trust of the president placed in me to make America safe again. Now, here's the interesting part. Typically, about 18 months into every administration, you do have a turnover. These are very, very high stress, high level position jobs. They are not easy, and they don't come with a lot of friends, and they come with a lot of hours. And so this could be that not. So there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of rumors out there. Pam Bondi was leaking information to Eric Swalwell. Pam Bondi was fired for Donald Trump due to inaction and incompetence. It could be a lot of different things that kind of went into this decision making. Going back to Dan Bongino was the first, Kristi Noem was the second, Pam Bondi was the third. And it's funny because these are three people that I've said since the get-go I didn't like. Not a big fan of Bongino. I don't know if you ever knew that, but that's fine. So according to sources, Trump told Pam Bondi shortly before the Iran speech on Wednesday night that she would soon be fired. Trump's reasoning for the sudden dismissal comes in part because the president believed Pam Bondi tipped off Eric Swalwell about the FBI's efforts to release investigative documents related to the relationship with Christine Fang. Now, she had a friendship with Swalwell and many other Democrats and deep staters. That should have been a very big clue. Pam Bondi is aligned with the Bush dynasty. That's one thing to kind of center in. This is my problem with the Florida GOP and Florida type style Republicans. Is Pam Bondi worked for DeSantis. Pam Bondi was affiliated and worked for Jeb Bush. Same thing with Susie Wiles. Susie Wiles and Pam Bondi that had an affiliation through the same lobbying firm. The same lobbying firm does massive amounts of lobbying for, well, a small little country in the Middle East that starts with an I. as you begin to see, these are why I don't like these people, is because I believe that they have higher loyalties, as the Q boards would say. So Todd Blanche came out in response to the accusations that Pam Bondi gave Eric Swalwell a heads up. And let's listen to Jesse and Todd Blanche talk about it.
Pam Bondi too, but she didn't give Swalwell a heads up on the Fang files, did she?
I would not believe that for a second. Absolutely, positively not.
Okay. Pam Bondi too, but she didn't.
So Todd Blanche, nope, didn't happen. No, Todd Blanche is a guy that is affiliated with a lot of Democrats, but stepped up to help President Donald Trump when he was in need, and has been very, very loyal to Donald Trump. Although that simply could have been by design. That could have just been a pre-positioning of people like Todd Blanche to be positioned in front of Donald Trump to look as loyal and then get them into that position of the Attorney General. Do you see what I'm saying here? Because Todd Blanche is the main reason why there's no prosecutions happening with the Epstein files. Todd Blanche is the one that reviewed all of the Epstein documents and came out and said there's no crimes here to actually convict. And I think all of us vehemently disagree with Todd Blanche on this. Todd Blanche is one of the reasons why that we have all of the information saying that Epstein killed himself, right? I don't believe that for a minute. So with all of that, let's go into this. I got to move a piece of news over. I said here in this post, and this is one of those important ones. Bongino was first, then it was Kristi Noem. Now it's Pam Bondi today. And I'll say this out loud. Dan was not qualified to be deputy director of the FBI. He failed miserably at his job and was asked to resign. Yes. At least that's what I got. Kristi was actually decent at her job, but I guess her cross-dressing husband and her affair with Corey Lewandowski was too much drama for the White House. That's a liability factor. Pam Bondi, the Trump loyalist, was given multiple opportunities to prosecute the deep state for their crimes. She covered up a lot of the Epstein files and apparently was leaking information to Eric Swalwell. Rumor, this is a rumor is Kash Patel is next. That would be interesting. Although Trump is a man of action, and what we have seen from the DOJ and FBI is nothing more than gaslighting. And I hope you all agree with that statement, that the FBI and the DOJ have done nothing but gaslight us on all of these conspiracies over the course of the last 18 months. And then as for the rumors about DNI Tulsi Gabbard, I don't think she's going anywhere. Now, Trump actually, let me see here. We're going to bring that up. Yep. Okay. So, and I don't think Tulsi Gabbard's going anywhere. And Donald Trump kind of reaffirmed this today. Let's check this out.
We have a lot of great candidates for this.
Do you still have confidence in Tulsi Gabbard, sir?
Yeah, sure I do. Sure. Follow up. I mean, she's a little bit different in her thought process than me, but that doesn't make somebody not available to serve.
Is she on the same page
I would
as you?
say that I'm very strong in the fact that I don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. Because if they had a nuclear weapon, they'd use it immediately. I think she's probably a little bit softer on that issue, but that's okay. Some people are. Most people aren't. Most people are saying thank you very much for doing what you did. They are decimated right now. They're going to give up nuclear weapons. They're going to give us the nuclear dust. They're going to do everything that we want to do. And you know what? They're going to go on and maybe have a great country again. But if they don't do that, they're not going to have a country. They're not even going to have a country. So,
okay. Donald Trump saying some very important things here. One of them is I had this post actually down the road, but I was talking about Tulsi right now, so I think it's important to bring it in for Tulsi. Number one is he takes a little knock at Tulsi and says she thinks a little bit differently than me. She didn't think that we should have went into Iran, but I definitely did. But he says I have absolutely faith in her. But listen to what he says here about Iran, because it goes to something that I said Tuesday night, Sunday night.
Decimated right now. They're going to give up nuclear weapons. They're going to give us the nuclear dust.
They're going to give us the nuclear dust. They are going to give us their uranium. Like I told you, that was on the board for the negotiations. Okay. And it appears that Donald Trump believes that they're going to give it to him. And I think that this is basically where we're at right now. The civilian counterpart of the Iranian government has agreed to these terms, and they are ready to end this war. You have Israel's trying to do some shenanigans. We'll look at that here in a little while. But the Trump administration doesn't have faith that Iran's actually going to follow through with it. So you have massive troop movements into towards Iran. And that if they renege on this deal, then the troops go in. I think that that's kind of the context of where we're at. Now, who is the pick to be the replacement for Pam Bondi? Rumors are circulating that it's Lee Zeldin. Interesting enough, did you know that Lee Zeldin was a member of military intelligence at Fort Huachuca, Arizona? And he was in part of the first brigade there. The commander was Colonel Michael Flynn, in other words. Lee Zeldin is another one directly connected to the good general Michael Flynn. Pete Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard, Lee Zeldin, Pam Bondi not, Susie Wiles not. Just throwing that out there for context here, because I do believe that General Michael Flynn is coming back, and I think that that is going to be sooner than later. Now, I do have a dig on this. I'm going to save this dig because I got Gabe coming in. I told you guys yesterday that Gabe was going to be coming in for a few minutes. So we're going to bring Gabe in right now. But I want to go through this dig of kind of some connections that I made with everything that was going on. And so we will touch on that here in just a few minutes. But first thing we're going to do is we're going to bring in Gabe from GOODBRU. Gabe, what's up, dude? How we doing?
Hey, how's it going, Josh? Yes, it's going well, man. Springing. So at least out here. So I don't know if up there where you're at, if it's gotten warm yet, but yeah, it's doing good. And we'll get a lot of great testimonials coming in, and so I know you got a lot going on. We do have. I just put an Easter special up, so that's the one that everybody likes. It's the buy the large and get a free small. It's on the homepage. So if you just go to GOODBRU, GOODBRU.com/redpill, you get another 10% off, and you can grab the Easter special or anything else that's on there. You can always use that 10% for anything, but don't forget, or you can put Red Pill in at the discount code at the end. So we got that special up, and we'll run that for a couple of days. We put it up just now for the show here, and I hope everything's going well for you. There was a little bit of we always like to discuss a little bit of research and that sort of thing. So there was a good paper that I just read, and so this is getting to the inulin fiber. So again, I think we discussed a couple of weeks ago a great paper on the inulin fiber and how it's been shown, inulin specifically, not these other fibers, but inulin as a prebiotic that trains the gut microbiome to break down sugars into useful amino acids. Well, this paper was really interesting because I think it helps tell the story of GOODBRU in terms of the probiotic and the inulin together, because this paper was focusing on inulin, and it was studying it for its impact on cognitive benefits and for like muscular benefits. And this was just inulin alone, not with the probiotic. And so what it showed was the study showed that people who were in the group with the inulin had it was improving their cognitive function, better working memory, less brain fog, all these things we know about the gut-brain axis. But it was showing specifically with the inulin fiber, which is what we use, that prebiotic was producing the right kinds of effects and environment in the gut to improve cognitive function. But it didn't show anything significant with the muscle strength or that sort of thing. So I think what that tells people is that, this combination, we do know that with our probiotic Bacillus coagulans, that has been well studied to increase protein utilization, muscle recovery, muscle strength, muscle growth, and those sorts of things because of the amino acids and the breaking down of the proteins into useful peptides and amino acids from the Bacillus coagulans. So I think that's a really good paper to combine with what we know about Bacillus coagulans, is that we've got the inulin fiber and the probiotic together. So, you kind of round out all of those benefits that study was kind of trying to look at with just inulin alone. So I think that's really good. We've got two good studies now that we've It's really showing the benefits of inulin. But then we also know that it's enhanced tremendously by adding it with the probiotic, and vice versa. The probiotic is enhanced tremendously by adding it with the fiber, and you get both of those in Good Brew, and it's organic. Those organic fiber and the kind of fiber that the nature likes to feed our gut microbiome. We've also gotten some good testimonials. I sent one over to you.
Go ahead and read that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I don't have. You might be able to read it easier than me because I don't have.
No, I can. I can actually read this, and I'm not going to say the person's name, but this came in from someone who watches this show here, and they call it Miracle Good Brew. This product has been remarkable for me. I suffered terribly with bloating, stomach pain, and acid reflux. I decided to try this as a last effort because other things have not helped at all. Every morning, I put 2 scoops in my morning bone broth. About a week or so later, all of the awful symptoms stopped. She goes, I'm 78, so grateful, and will never be without it. A true miracle for me. Thank you. And that's from Claire, and appreciate that feedback, Claire. And that's what this is about. It's about the testimonies. It's about changing people's lives, especially those who have been affected with various different conditions over their life, gut conditions, so forth. And Good Brew is one of those things that absolutely helps with that.
Yeah, we get so much, and we have all these, like you said, the acid reflux, and the chronic constipation. These things are very specific things that people benefit from. But now we're hearing from all these folks who have been using it for longer periods of time, who are just seeing more generalized health benefits, and in mood and cognition and other things. And we have people even talking about their skin and stuff like that. So your gut microbiome affects so many things, and everybody's different. So what one person needs for to benefit from a healthier microbiome is different from another person, because we're all being influenced by all these different things.
Yeah.
So yeah, go to goodbrew.com, goodbru.com, and use Red Pill at checkout, or use /Red Pill when you go and get another 10% off. And we really appreciate everything, Josh. And you got some good, interesting stuff there you're talking about, and you got everybody on a cliffhanger. So I'll let you get to it.
I appreciate you, Gabe. Thank you so much for coming in. And everybody out there, go to goodbrew.com/redpill. That's GOODBRU.com/redpill. And Gabe, we'll see you here in a few weeks, man. Take care.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care. All right. Talk to you later. Happy Easter.
Yep. Bye. All right, guys. Good Brew. And thanks for Gabe for sponsoring the show. He's just amazing. Great dude right there. All right. Let's jump into the dig, because I know you guys have been waiting for this. And I'm still trying to wrap my head around all of this, because this is something that I've been following over the last few days. And if you remember, so Matt here was replying to my comment. He said, what did Trump bring all of these people into? Why did Trump bring all these people into a second administration? Good question. And maybe it was on purpose. Now, the other day, Dan Scavino posted a clip of Donald Trump walking down the stairs of Air Force One with Nessun Dorma actually playing. That will make sense here in a minute. Maybe it was right under our noses the whole time. You remember when Trump said on Sunday, right here, Secretary of the Interior Doug Burgum and I are working on fixing absolutely filthy reflecting pool. So think about this. Remember, contextual reference frame. He goes, Doug Burgum, we're working to fixing the absolutely filthy reflecting pool between the Lincoln Memorial and Washington Monument. This work was supposed to be done by the Biden administration, but Sleepy Joe doesn't know how to clean or proper maintenance is. Now, to me, if you understand how Donald Trump communicates, this might be innuendo. Filthy reflecting pool. Well, we're talking about Washington, D.C., the filth within Washington, D.C., the swamp. The reflecting pool is turned into a swamp. How do you clean the swamp? And Trump goes on and says, Biden didn't know how to clean or do proper maintenance. In other words, it was indicative that something was coming down the road. Okay, so Trump said, clean. The Delta for today and tomorrow, today, March 2nd and March 3rd, is tippity-top shape. Remember back in 2019 when Anons were saying, have Trump say something like tippity-top shape, and then he came out on Easter and he talked about tippity-top shape. Massive Q confirmation right there. Now, when something's clean, it's done, it's finalized, you want it in the best of shape, the tippity top shape, right? Delta for today. Pam Bondi was let go today. March 3rd, 2019, Delta is one of the most important. Now, why have specific dates been mentioned only to see no action? Define game theory. Why must disinformation be provided? Define open source. Define public purview. Do we let our enemies walk through the front door? Define plausible deniability. Why is it important to first clean house within the FBI and DOJ public info? Why was it important to first clean house within the ABC agencies non-public info? Now, what was the first arrest? Not the first arrest. What was the first firing? Dan Bongino. The next firing, Kristi Noem. And the third firing, Pam Bondi. Well, what was that? FBI, DOJ, and other three-letter agencies. What are the duties of the FBI? What are the duties of the DOJ? Then here it is. When does military intelligence have jurisdiction? Remember what I just told you about Lee Zeldin? Lee Zeldin was military intelligence. He's one of the people being propped up to become the next attorney general, moving from the EPA into the attorney general position. When does military intelligence have jurisdiction? What vested powers does POTUS have? Military intelligence versus ABC agencies. Matters of national security, Homeland. Think umbrella surveillance. What agency does the FBI report to? What is the role of the AG? Does the AG oversee the firing of FBI senior mid-level lower staff? How many FBI and DOJ were fired or forced? Now, this part right here is where I think that this is really important. Military intelligence, jurisdiction, and think umbrella surveillance. NSA, no such agency. The idea that it's coming out that Pam Bondi was leaking certain information, a warning to Eric Swalwell, might actually be true. And it might have came about because the NSA is keeping tabs on everybody within government. Because guess what? They can. See, umbrella surveillance in government is not uncommon. Everything that you're doing is watched and surveilled. So then he says this, and this is where it gets interesting. Has the stage been cleaned and cleared for the next performance? If the stage is clean, can the performance begin? How might transparency D-class fit into this dialogue? Define thesis statement. Now, 5 days ago, Scavino posted Trump coming down the stairs of Air Force One with Nessun Dorma plane. But it happened to be the end of the song. Interestingly enough, Trump started this whole journey by coming down the escalator at Trump Plaza in New York. This post by Scavino correlates to the March 28th delta of Q970. And you're going to see some interesting things here. Free Flynn, done in 30. House cleaning, White House secured, final stage, Q. Now, why is that important? Because this week we saw the DOJ settlement with General Michael Flynn, the exoneration of General Flynn. We're seeing potentially Lee Zeldin coming in to the DOJ as the Attorney General. This is a big possibility, who has affiliations with military intelligence and General Flynn. Done in 30. Done in 30 is the timeline that Trump just laid out last night on the address to the nation for Iran. House cleaning. We get the indication on Sunday that this is clean. We got to clean the swamp. Now we get Pam Bondi fired. Then he says White House secured, final stage. We are in the final stages, people. That's why tonight's show is called The Storm Has Arrived. We are in the final stages. How do you expose the depth of the deep state and the leverage they have over the DOJ and the FBI? I said, I think we are witnessing it right now. There's a reason these people were put in their positions. And it doesn't mean that these people were bad. It doesn't mean that Dan Bongino's a bad human being, was doing bad things. It doesn't mean that Pam Bondi was bad at her job, or Kristi Noem was a bad actor or worked for the deep state. It doesn't mean that. It means that Donald Trump put them into these positions for a reason and for a purpose. And now he's transitioning into the final stage of his plan, which now he has to replace them and put someone else in. That's what I'm getting from this. Does that make sense? Now, number one, Dan Bongino. I don't like Dan Bongino. And I think that Dan Bongino was incompetent at the FBI. And from what I heard, he was asked to resign because of the stress of the job. And more power to Dan on that. I would have probably done the same thing if it was too much for me. Kristi Noem, she's a whore. I've said this from the get-go. I don't like Kristi Noem. Pam Bondi, I don't like her, but I don't think Pam Bondi was necessarily doing anything other than what Trump told her to do. That's my thoughts. I don't think she was doing anything other than what Trump told her to do. I don't think that she was surprised that this happened. I think that she knew it was coming, and I think that this is part of a plan. Now, is Pam Bondi maybe going to be assigned as a special prosecutor, a special counsel by the Trump administration? It's very plausible. It's very possible. Now, think about it. Is DNI Tulsi Gabbard's been feeding her tons of information, of declassified information. She can't necessarily do the investigative work through the DOJ just because it's a behemoth of an organization. She basically gets fired as attorney general and then gets put into a special counsel type of position where now she can run an investigation with a grand jury. Very plausible. So we will see what happens from here on out. I'm trying not to guess. I'm trying to make the best educated guess scenarios that I possibly can. Now, maybe Pam Bondi was completely corrupt and the lobby was more important and money and power were more important and she undermined Donald Trump and this stuff is really true. I don't know. I think that we're going to find out though. But I'm not surprised that this is happening. This is exactly what we've been saying needed to happen. Now, an interesting part is I've been calling for Pam Bondi to be fired. General Flynn's been calling for Pam Bondi to be fired. Many people have been calling for Pam Bondi to be fired. And now Pam Bondi is being fired. And I think that that is a huge milestone as long as Todd Blanche does not become the new attorney general. But whomever comes in, they need to provide action. They need to go out there and they need to prosecute these cases and the deep state. All right. We're going to do a quick transition into the next topic here. So Pam Bondi stuff, pretty interesting. But I think that we have just entered the storm. And honestly, guys, I think we have 8 months. Not 8 months, 6 months. 6 months. And it's going to be incredible. I think that it's going to be 6 months of chaos and destabilization, and then things are going to ramp up. And I think that that's going to curtail with ending of Iran here in about 30 days. Go a quick transition, and then we'll come right back in. They can freeze your account, shut off your cards, lock you out of your own money overnight. Banks don't protect you. They control you. That's why real financial freedom starts with ownership. Introducing Rumble Wallet, a non-custodial wallet built for people who refuse to give up control. With Rumble Wallet, you don't just buy digital currency like Bitcoin and Tether. You can own Tether Gold, real gold on the blockchain. Through Tether Gold, you get direct ownership of physical gold bars, each one fully allocated, verifiable by serial number, purity, and weight. This isn't paper gold. This isn't an IOU. This is real gold without bank vaults, storage fees, or gatekeepers. You can buy, sell, and move it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even when traditional gold markets are closed. And if you want, Tether Gold can be redeemed for physical gold. That's power. And when you support creators on Rumble, you can tip them directly using Rumble Wallet, peer-to-peer, and outside the banking system with no permission, no middlemen, no cancel button. This wallet is yours forever. And that's wallet.rumble.com, guys. I appreciate that. Now, let's get back into it. So, something interesting happened here. This was yesterday. Iran's former foreign minister was nearly assassinated at his home in Tehran. His wife was killed. He is in critical condition. The New York Times reports he was secretly brokering a possible meeting between Iranian officials and J.D. Vance through Pakistan. Someone just tried to kill the man running the back channel while the back channel was running. Now, immediately our mind goes to Israel on this, right? Immediately, our mind goes to Israel on this. This must have been Israel. It's possible. It's actually very possible. But it's also very probable that it was hardliners in the IRGC that do not want the civilian government of Iran to cave to J.D. Vance or Trump. That what we are actually seeing is in the extension of the internal coup of Iran actually occurring. Maybe the MI6 from the UK. Maybe it's the old guard that tried to kill this guy because he's the one key point in the negotiations. And they know that if Iran falls to Trump, it's game over for global energy. This is what I'm stressing, is there are so many players at the table right now. You have the old guard, Europe, you have China, you have Middle Eastern nations, you have Israel, you have the United States, you have Russia. There are so many players at the table right now. Now, how does Israel benefit from this? See, this doesn't make sense that this would have been Israel, although I do believe that they were airstrikes. I do believe that they were U.S. and Israel airstrikes, or Israel airstrikes. But my thoughts on this are that Israel benefits from complete, total annihilation of Iranian oil and electric infrastructure to the point where new infrastructure is built out within Iran through Israel to the Med, with Chevron coming in as the primary company doing that. And then Israel benefits because they become a regional superpower and a global superpower because of the control of the flow of energy and asset reallocation. That's why. So that's my assessment. I think that that's probably the most, I think that that's probably the truth right there. Now we have some interesting not breaking news, but news that came out the other day or today. Seymour Hersh, the journalist who correctly predicted the bombing of Iran's nuclear facilities and broke Nord Stream story, says Trump's speech was the ground war announcement. Trump's telling the world that the ground war is on as of today. Thousands of Navy SEALs and Army Rangers are either en route or will be in the zones within striking range of the Straits of Hormuz. He says Trump would have 50,000 fighters ready to clear the strait or dig out entrenched uranium from tunnels underneath the nuclear sites. Hersh has one of the best track records in investigative journalists. He doesn't say things like this casually. If he's right, then Trump's speech wasn't about ending the war. It was about starting the next phase of it, one the public hasn't been told about yet. And Seymour Hersh is friends with Trump, guys. I tend to look at this is that this is probably the next stage. But it goes back to that comment that Trump made. He says that they're ready to give us their nuclear dust. They're giving up nuclear weapons. If they adhere to this and this does not get undone, the civilian counterpart of the government can hold on to control and the Trump administration can negotiate with them and they can get the hardliners and the IRGC to stand down, I don't think you're going to have troops in place. And what did he say? He said in that comment specifically, let me pull this clip back up. He said in this comment, in this post specifically, that they're going to give us the dust.
What you did, they are decimated right now. They're going to give up nuclear weapons. They're going to give us the nuclear dust. They're going to do everything.
They're going to give us the nuclear dust. They're going to give us the uranium. So this is what he's saying right now. Now, why is he saying that? Because he's looking at it from the perspective of this is game theory. It's multi-threaded variables, multi-domain battlefield. You have all of these different factions that have different levels of benefit to make this not happen, to allow this not to happen. Because if the United States gets in there and Iran actually makes a deal with the United States, they give up nuclear weapons, they give the uranium over, you have a small contingent of the 82nd Airborne's NTD force that goes in there, NDT force that goes in there, grabs the uranium, they get it out of Iran, and then Iran's sanctions are lifted and they become a new thriving country in the Middle East. The world changes. Donald Trump wins, China loses, Europe loses. If somehow that is stopped, if the civilian government is just all of a sudden bombed and they're assassinated and Trump has no one to negotiate with, well, now you have to go and take out the hardliners. You have to go take out the rotten, the infiltration, which I think are actually probably Mossad agents operating within the IRGC that are perpetuating this, because at the end of the day, what Israel wants, and this is what I believe, and it's not religious or anything like that, is what Israel wants is exactly what Netanyahu said they wanted. They want a complete annihilation of Iranian oil infrastructure. They want to control Iranian oil, bring it directly through a pipeline 3,000 miles through Israel into the Med, and they want to be a global superpower. That's what Trump's dealing with right now. So ground troops make sense when you understand that if somehow these negotiations get turned upside down, if the uranium doesn't get handed over, if Israel begins bombing the shit out of people again, we could see this. Now, is it going to last months or years? I don't know. Depends on what the war objectives are, the ground objectives are. Now, today, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth asked Army Chief of Staff General Randy George to step down and take immediate retirement. That's pretty big. Now, two additional Army generals, General David Hodney, head of the Army Transformation and Training Command, and Major General William Green Jr., Chief of the Army Chaplain Corps, has been asked to step down. I said, something big is about to happen. My thoughts, I hope I am wrong. Ground troops in Iran. Now, General Michael Flynn came out, and he actually had something to say about this. He says, in a move of reminiscent of others I personally witnessed and are precedent in the annals of U.S. military and the world military history, especially during a time of war. This decision by SecWar is righteous, no-nonsense decision. We cannot be playing games with any resources we have while people's lives are on the line. Our uniformed military leaders need to understand these are very serious times, and despite political nonsense and games that are typically played by politicians, the expectation for uniformed military leaders is vastly higher, and it must stay that way. The SecWar should consider a clean sweep of the Army leadership and get them focused on war winning. I suspect he will. Now, what did Flynn say? Consider a clean sweep. So again, we're back to the clean. Now, we also know that General Flynn is advising Hegseth and Gabbard. So it's potential that Flynn was maybe a part or aligned with removing these people because they are trying to play games of politics in a time of war. Let's listen to what Trump says about the Strait of Hormuz today, because this is the reason why. This is the reason why all of it is happening.
The problem that we have is we really don't need any more oil. It'd be nice to take it, but we don't need it. And we say to Europe and all these countries that do, you know, China gets 90% of its oil from the Strait of Hormuz, and they should be policing their own strait. We shouldn't be policing it for them. We have been for years. And we're getting ready to get out of there. But they should, you know, all the damages, we have done such a job that they're really a very weak country. They've gone from the bully of the Middle East to essentially a weak country. And I say, you guys, why should we? The problem with the strait is they can have one terrorist there with a machine gun someplace, and they'll say, oh, it's not totally clean, you know. So let them do it. Let France do it. They get a lot of oil from the strait. Let the European countries do it. Let South Korea, who was not helpful to us, by the way, let South Korea, you know, we only have 45,000 soldiers in harm's way over there right next to a nuclear force. Let South Korea do it.
Okay, so what do we learn here? Donald Trump saying that we're no longer going to protect international interest in the Straits of Hormuz. If the UK, if France, if Germany, if they want to do it, go ahead and do it. But here's the thing. They don't have the capability to do it. But he says that China gets 90% of its oil through the Strait of Hormuz, and they should be policing it. That's why we're getting ready to get out. In other words, Trump is trolling China here, okay? Number one is he's going in and he's taking China's largest oil partners, Venezuela and Iran. He's turning them around. He's twisting them into U.S. allies or U.S. contingencies. He comes out and does the same thing to Europe, because Europe owned a massive amount of infrastructure within the gas and oil fields in the Middle East, a lot of which Iran bombed. And I don't think that that was a coincidence. I think that that was on purpose. And I think that that was done by Iran by the direction of Donald Trump. That's my thoughts. Now, in understanding this, Donald Trump just gave an ultimatum to the world. If you want your oil from the Middle East, and you want to secure the Strait of Hormuz, go do it your fucking self. Go take what you need, because we're not helping you. And instead, what he's doing is he's showing the world that we are the most powerful, dominant military force on the planet. See, when he's telling China gets 90% of its oil from the Strait of Hormuz, and he's saying China needs to come in here and do this because we're not doing it anymore. Europe, they need to come in here and do this because we're not doing it anymore. In other words, what he's saying is really simple. We are in here right now decimating, dominating, and destroying Iranian regime to the point where we are now in control. You couldn't do it, and you couldn't do it, because if you could, you would have already. But then he says, but we're on our way out. We're simply going to make a deal with Iran, and we're good, and we're going to go. And then it's going to be up to you guys to figure out how this works over here, of how you get your energy and your oil. In other words, it'll be a very similar deal like the deal with Venezuela, to where Trump is going to have a direct association and affiliation with the country of Iran. I will even go out on a limb, and I will say within 12 months, Donald Trump potentially will even go visit Iran like he did North Korea. That's bold. I know. I bet you Iran will be coming in on the board of peace at some point in time in the near future. But see, Donald Trump basically just called out China and much of the NATO nations and said, you couldn't do it, you can't do it, and you won't do it. But we did. And what does that tell you? That tells you, someone said no sound. If you're seeing no sound, refresh, buddy. What is that telling you? Exactly what Donald Trump confirmed last night. That this is the most powerful military force on the planet and nobody can compare. So tell that Kevin dude that his sound it's his sound, not my sound. All right. Now, what is there an indication that potentially ground war is actually coming, that troops on the ground is actually coming? There was one indication of that today outside of what we've already talked about. Listen to Pete Hegseth here.
Our great republic was founded on a simple yet bold idea. Our rights as citizens are not granted to us by government, but instead by God. 250 years ago, the Revolutionary War was fought to secure our God-given rights. The Second Amendment to our Constitution enshrines the right of all citizens to carry weapons to protect themselves, their families, and their fellow countrymen. The War Department's uniformed service members are trained at the highest and unwavering standards. These warfighters, entrusted with the safety of our nation, are no less entitled to exercise their God-given right to keep and bear arms than any other American. Our warfighters defend the right of others to carry. They should be able to carry themselves. Recent events like what happened at Fort Stewart, Holloman Air Force Base, or Pensacola Naval Air Station have made clear that some threats are closer to home than we would like. In these instances, minutes are a lifetime, and our service members have the courage and training to make those precious short minutes count. Before today, it was virtually impossible. Most people probably don't know this. It was virtually impossible for War Department personnel to get permission to carry and store their own personal weapons aligned with the state laws where we operate our installations. I mean, effectively, our bases across the country were gun-free zones.
Okay, I'm not going to go into it, but now you can own and carry your guns on military bases. And I think that that is very, very important because, like he was saying, because we've had a few different events where this could have came in handy. And if we're going into a ground war, there's a large potential for various different false flag or terrorist events to occur within U.S. military installations. And I think that Pete Hegseth understands this, that Trump understands this, and they're moving to ensure that our bases are fully armed. So people are asking me about this question, and I want to do this before we segue again. People are asking me about this question. Do I think that Trump is covering up the number of deaths? And I just saw a report that came out, somebody on the news, that Susie Wiles is mad at the Trump administration for covering up the actual number of deaths of U.S. soldiers who have died. Number one is it's incredibly difficult to hide that number. I just want to stress that. It's incredibly difficult to hide the number of deaths of people who have died in combat. It's very hard, guys. I think that number is probably around accurate. You can't, so with a number like 13, which is pretty low, you can't hide 50 or 100. You can't hide 200 or 1,000. You can't. It's impossible. If the number was 1,000, you could hide a few hundred or even 1,000. But you can't hide thousands when it's single digits. So that's my logic behind that. And I hope that helps everybody out there. A few different things. JSW432, that's Jeff out there, gifted 5 subscriptions to the Red Pill Project. Another 5 subscriptions to the Red Pill Project, and then a $50 Rumble Rant. Thank you so much, Jeff. Appreciate you, brother. Daytar17 gifted 1 subscription, and then we had Popeye9090. Let's go, $10 Rumble Rant. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for doing that and keep them coming. And do we have more? Let's go. We have... Nope, it's just a repeat of all the other ones. Okay, perfect. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you. Thanks for those rants coming in. I saw them out of my corner of my eye, so I had to go back. Okay. Quick transition as we get going right here. I don't think Rumble's ready for the next round yet. No, we still got 2 minutes. Secretary Kennedy announces the launch of STOMP, systematic targeting of microplastics, a national program to measure, understand, and remove microplastics from the human body. EPA Director Lee Zeldin announces a landmark set of actions to safeguard the nation's drinking water from microplastics, pharmaceuticals, forever chemicals, and other contaminants. Let's listen to what Lee Zeldin actually had to say here. And by the way, if people don't remember Lee Zeldin, he was a New York State senator. I believe he was running for governor, and they tried to assassinate him. Remember this? They tried to stab him on stage and assassinate him. Yeah, he's a part of the Trump administration.
We're taking major steps in today's announcement to make America healthy again. I'm pleased to announce a landmark set of actions by EPA to safeguard the nation's drinking water from microplastics, pharmaceuticals, forever chemicals, and dozens of other contaminants. At the heart of these actions is our draft 6th contaminant candidate list, known as CCL6, which we are releasing today for public comment. CCL6 is a critical tool under the Safe Drinking Water Act that drives research, funding, and future regulation of emerging threats in public water systems. The draft CCL6 includes 4 contaminant groups: microplastics, pharmaceuticals, PFAS, and disinfection byproducts. It also covers 75 chemicals and 9 microbes that may be found in drinking water. And now, for the first time in the program's history, EPA is designating both microplastics and pharmaceuticals as priority contaminant groups.
Wow, that's huge. So, you know, Bobby and Lee Zeldin right there taking the moves to remove forever chemicals, pesticides, pharmaceuticals, microplastics from the U.S. water supply. That's huge. I think that is going to be a really big mission, but this is what we've asked our EPA and our HHS to do for the longest damn time. And it's about time it's finally happening. Shout out to Dustin Viz, became a member level premium. I appreciate that on YouTube. And he'll be in on the live Q&A tomorrow. So for anybody who's just joining in, didn't hear the first part of the show, maybe you're going to go back and watch it later. Overwatching the Guardian is going to be tomorrow night, Friday night, with myself and Alpha. And then after Overwatching the Guardian, the premium subscribers on my channel, I do a live Q&A tomorrow night. So live Q&A for my channel, but Alpha is going to be joining us. So if you wanted to ever get into a Zoom with Alpha and ask him questions, tomorrow will be the chance. So that's tomorrow. You'll be able to hear about that. We're going to do a quick transition again because that wasn't very much health news. But let me go ahead and set this up. And this will be the last transitional ad, I believe. Let me see here. Just make sure I got the right ones. All right. The Kid's Guide. All right, parents, real talk for a second. America is about to hit a huge milestone. We're coming up on America's 250th birthday, 250 years of freedom, grit, sacrifice, and the greatest experiment in self-government the world has ever seen. This is the perfect moment to help your kids understand why this country matters, not just fireworks and hot dogs, but the story behind it all. There's a free guide called The Kid's Guide to America's 250th Birthday, and it's honestly a great way to introduce kids to how America began, who the founding fathers were, what they risked, and why the ideas they fought for still matter today. This guide sends kids back to the moment when brave men signed the Declaration of Independence, knowing full well they were risking their lives for freedom. It breaks it all down in a way kids can actually understand and enjoy without watering it down or turning it into boring schoolwork. If you care about raising kids who know where this country came from and why it's worth preserving, this is something you'll want to grab. And the best part, it's completely free with a special offer. You just need to pay for the $2 for shipping and processing. Just head to freeusabirthday.com. That's freeusabirthday.com. And the Kid's Guide to America's 250th Birthday is yours for your kids today. America's story matters. Make sure the next generation knows it. And thanks to the Kid's Guide and Rumble there. And Diesel T, $100 Rumble rant. Josh, you're the best man. Thank you for all your work. I appreciate you, Diesel T. Thank you so much for all those Rumble rants coming in. So this breaking today. What do we got here? Following immense pressure from President Trump and the Trump administration and patriots across the country, an appeals court in Colorado has thrown out Tina Peters' sentence. Per the court, the 9-year sentence violated her First Amendment rights. This is a huge step towards freeing Tina Peters. She will now be resentenced to a much lower term, possibly even time served, which would secure for her immediate release. And as we get more information will come out. And hopefully we can get Tina Peters out as fast as humanly possible. Now, I'm going to play two different videos here. One is Jim Semivin. He's a former CIA and has been into the UFOs for a long time, even in the CIA. I want you to listen to what he says about UFOs and the UAP alien phenomena here, because this is really important to the one I'm going to play next.
I've had people who I know are in the know, and I've mentioned this before, and one of them told me the truth is indigestible. It's not something that we would be able to fully grasp or entertain. And that it's like, it would be like telling somebody something that they can't do anything about, and they don't know what the repercussions of that would be. It's so great. It's so world-changing and transformational, and maybe not in a good way, so.
I mean, what could be so jarring? What could be so disruptive? I mean, bless you. Like the idea that we're being visited by another advanced intelligence that's more advanced than us. I mean, do you think, or is it something else?
I think it's much deeper.
He said he thinks it's much deeper than that, that there's much more going on to it than meets the eye. But it's indigestible. It's world shattering. And I wanted to pull this up real quick because this is going to have a lot to do with the next post. It's actually a post I just saw pop up there, but I actually wanted to go into here, do this, and I wanted to go look up this guy, because if I can find this quote from this person that I'm looking for. Oh, there it is. If you don't know who Charles Fort was, he wrote a book in the early 1960s, and I believe it's called The Children of Eden, if I'm correct on that. And Charles Fort said, "The earth is a farm. We are someone else's property." And I think that that's what some of these people are talking about here. I'm going to break this down after the video, but I want you to listen to this video of Kentucky Representative Tim Burchett.
Former colleague of yours, Matt Gaetz, making some pretty shocking statements yesterday about aliens. Take a look.
I had someone come and brief me who was in a military uniform, worked for the United States Army, that was briefing me on the locations of hybrid breeding programs where captured aliens were breeding with humans to create some hybrid race that could engage in intergalactic communication. Aliens that were living were in forced breeding programs with humans that had been abducted from war zones and from even the caravans of migrants.
All right. I mean, I don't have the tinfoil hat on just yet, Congressman, but I'm wondering, kind of how you react to that, because you are connected. You're on the UFO subcommittee. I mean, I'm just wondering what you make of that. Have you heard anything like that?
Well, I'm still a member of Congress, so I can't really comment too much on what Matt said. But I will say this.
Wait, seriously? Are you being serious, or is that tongue in cheek?
I'm being 100% serious. Okay. I've been 100% serious. I've been briefed by just about every alphabet agency there is. And I'll just tell you this, if they would release the things that I've seen, you would stay up, you'd be up at night worrying about or thinking about this stuff. We just need to disclose it all. I'm sick of it. Well, I was briefed. I'll just tell you this. I was briefed last week on an issue, or excuse me, 2 weeks ago. And it would have set the earth on. This country would have come unglued, I think, if they would have heard all that I heard. They would demand answers, and we need to. But it's never going to get. Unfortunately, it just keeps getting covered up, and the people that know are dying or disappearing, as the case may be.
Wow.
And for the record, I'm not suicidal, and I don't take risks. So,
I'm glad you said that. I'm speechless, Congressman. We will have you back.
You should be. And I told the president, release it all. And the problem is the people that are around the president don't know and the president doesn't know the questions to ask. A few of us are going to have to get with the president and tell him what he needs to ask and where he needs to look. I mean, we're in meetings and they give addresses and tell locations of items, I'll just say. And the public has a right to know, dadgummit. It's your tax dollars.
Absolutely.
Let's get it out.
Now, Finnerty, if you didn't notice, is incredibly disturbed by what just happened. He started out all comical and funny, like, hey, Matt Gaetz said this, and what do you think? And it turned into an oh shit moment for him when he realized that, oh my goodness, this is the reality of the situation. Now, did Representative Tim Burchett indirectly confirmed more than he intended? No, I think he intentionally confirmed everything that he was trying to confirm. He asked about Matt Gaetz's claims of alien-human breeding programs. His response, as a sitting member of Congress, I can't speak on that. Let that sink in. That's not denial. That's classification. He goes on further. I've been briefed by just about every alphabet agency there is. If they release what I've seen, you'd be up all night. I was briefed 2 weeks ago on something that could set the earth on fire. This country would become unglued. For the record, I'm not suicidal. Why even say that unless there's real risk? Now connect the dots. 2 weeks ago, he was in a major classified briefing. At the same time, reports of missing high-level figures, generals plus scientists. Is that the issue he is referring to? That's the implication I got. It isn't random. It points to compartmentalized programs, internal factions fighting over advanced technologies, information so destabilizing it's being contained at all costs. And here's where it gets darker. There are powerful groups that want to control this tech, not just power, total control. Some may not even know what we think they are. And yes, they would use deception at a global scale if needed. Even something like a staged extraterrestrial threat. General Michael Flynn commented on that video and warned that this exact scenario in a comment to UFO James's post on an alien false flag. We'll look at that here in a second. Think Project Blue Bleed. This is the battlefield, information, technological, existential, and it's bigger than most people are willing to admit. And General Flynn's comment on this video is this. He says, I believe Tim Burchett. This is not a man to mince words or to short sell normal political bullshit, but be aware of false flag alien operations by rogue elements inside the U.S. government. Now, why is that interesting? And everybody knows what I'm about to bring up next. So we've interviewed General Flynn different times here on this show before. And no, I'm not part of the quote-unquote Flynn network. I don't get paid by General Flynn and have nothing affiliated with him like that, because I know that's what some people are saying. But I want you to listen to what he says in this video right here, which is on my TikTok. That's why it's really small, but listen.
What he'll be able to discover. And frankly, I already knew a lot. I already knew a lot of the things that I wanted to dig into and I wanted to shut down or expose, okay? And then, of course, you know, now do I work with the president to maybe hold certain people or certain institutions accountable, right? They couldn't have that. Couldn't have that. And that's our problem. That's what I talk about in the movie. This is our problem, is that we have this extraterrestrial government.
I will play that back because listen to his words specifically.
Problem is that we have these. This extraterrestrial government.
This extraterrestrial government. Now go back to the next post that we have right here that we just showed. I believe Tim Burchett. He's not a man to mince words or to short sell the normal political bullshit, but be aware of a false flag alien operation by rogue elements inside the United States government. So, Tim Burchett says again, this is another one. Tim Burchett says his sources have identified missing retired U.S. Air Force General Milka Caslin as the UFO gatekeeper. This is a very small fraternity. When something happens to one, the others take note. I was briefed this past week. This group is very nervous. So, and let's listen to the clip. I think it's important to listen to the clip.
Happened with this two-star general.
He's the guy that was had a lot of nuclear secrets and was allegedly the gatekeeper. And I've been told by several sources that he was the gatekeeper for the UFO stuff. And of course, his family says, "Oh, he didn't have anything to do with UFO." But these people are people of honor.
Well, they didn't want to die either.
Yeah, and they don't tell their family. So their family isn't a target.
And Congressman, I understand there's others too, right? I was seeing that there's like a whole bunch of scientists that are also tied to some top secret stuff.
Yes, ma'am. The lady that disappeared, she had a lot to do with the metallurgy, the top secret metallurgy that we use in some of our missiles and stuff. I mean, it all just kind of fits together. And it's a very small fraternity. And when anytime one of them, something happens to one, the others take note of it. And I was briefed this past week, and I'll just say that that group is very nervous.
That group is very nervous. Now, I'm familiar with a few people inside that group, and it's hard to put those names out there, if that makes sense. So I'm not going to do that to some of these people that I know were in these groups. But what are my thoughts on it? I think some of these people were whistleblowers that disappeared after trying to whistleblow to tell people of a threat. I believe one of the reasons why we have clandestine technology and reverse engineering programs that are not public is because it goes back to what Charles Fort said. We're property. But how does an alien race or civilization manage that property? Well, maybe what they did is they came in here, conquered us, destroyed our old advanced civilization, and then they put humans in charge, hybrids in charge. And then they left. And they come back every, 5,000, 10,000 years to do what they do. And maybe this time we're just ready for them this time when they come around. And we've taken out all of their echelons of control. And we're just waiting for them because we have the technology to actually defeat them. It's a possibility. There's other parts that there's factions on this planet, corporate, financial, occult, deep state, that want to control that technology. And they will kidnap, they will kill, they will do anything possible to keep it in their hands or to get it out of someone else's. So this is crazy what's happening. And yes, we got Tim Burchett coming on the show here, probably at the week after GART. So just keep that in mind. Had some conversations with that. Just a quick reminder, though. Number one, obviously, Overwatch and the Guardian is going to be tomorrow night. Don't forget about GOODBRU over there. GOODBRU, GOODBRU.com/redpills. I want you to go over to redpills.tv because it's all linked up over there. And I want to pull this actually up for you. If you go to redpills.tv, or it's redpillpodcast.com, by the way, but you can find it under redpills.tv. And you go to sponsors right here. So you can find GOODBRU right here. Bottom right, the link. If you just don't understand how to click, if you don't understand to go to that link, you can just go to that one. Also, X39, and I wanted to remind people of this. Terry is going to be doing the Zoom 11 a.m. Eastern time on Saturday morning, this Saturday morning. So very important. Just go in there, put your name and your email address, and the next day or two, an email will be sent to you with the Zoom information. So you'll have that if you're interested in that. And if you just want to check out Lifewave, go over there, get started now. You just click on that button. All right, guys. A lot happening in the world. Crazy freaking time to be alive. I'm excited. You know, it could be the end of the world. I'd be like, oh my God, it's happening, right? Who knows, man? It's a crazy time. But you know what? At least we're in it together. I think that's the best part. Hit that like, share button. Make sure you comment. Make sure you're following on over here. A ton of people out there watching. It must be because Alpha wasn't on tonight. 2,700 on Rumble alone. Make sure you're following over there, guys. Get me up over that $50,000 mark on subscribers on Rumble. That would definitely be helpful. And I will see you tomorrow. And tomorrow we got multiple double headers. I think there's going to be like 4 or 5 shows, or at least 3 shows tomorrow on our channel. So hope to see you guys that. Oh, and one other announcement before you go, one announcement. This is one of the last weeks to buy your tickets. Go to redpills.tv, go up here to the More tab, go to events, Badlands Media, the Great American Restoration Tour. I will be there. General Quast will be there. Alpha, Zach Payne, CanCon, John Harold, Burning Bright. We will all be there April 9th to April 12th in Nashville, Tennessee. Be there or be square. Hope to see you guys there. You can get your tickets, virtual tickets, or you can go in-person tickets right there. So appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight, and we'll keep you updated on as it all happens. Much love, respect. God bless. Take care. Have a great night, and we'll see you guys next time. Good night.
There was a time when our children stood tall, hand on their hearts, one voice for all. There was a time when honor had weight, when the flag was a symbol, not a debate. There was a time when our history was known, with pride in the rules that made us our own. There was a time, respect for the brave, for those who bled, for the lives they gave. Now the homeland burns to silent war. Truth is twisted, we can't ignore. Voice still calls, we the people. time when truth was clear, when the media served, not ruled by fear. There was a time when leaders stood fast, guarding the people, defending the past. Now corruption wears a crown, lies are fed to tear us down. But Q said watch, and Q said see, the silent war will set us free. From the front lines, soldiers stare, wondering if we're still there. Their blood, their hope, their sacrifice will not be sold for a last prize. There was a time, but the time isn't near. The great awakening is here. Dark to light, the veil undone. Patriots rise, we are one. Land of the free, home of the brave. No more silence, no more slaves. Answer the call, take back the fight. Children of freedom, stand for the light.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on. Or we will spend our sunset years telling our children what it was once like in the United States where men were free.
There was a time, the time is near. The great awakening is here. Dark to light, veil undone. Patriots rise, we are one. Land of the free, home of the brave. No more silence, no more slaves. Answer the call, take back the fight. Children of freedom, stand for the light. There was a time. There was a time. Now is the time. Do it.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation. I want you to get mad.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
The more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out.
These people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy.
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that.
I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!